And welcome back to Hustle and Grind Finance. This is Guy. I'll be your host today. Today, we're talking about small businesses. And if you are a W-2 employee, you should own a small business. And I'm gonna tell you what kind of business you should own. You are not gonna wanna miss this because nobody talks about this on YouTube at all. In fact, only 1 in 10 Americans open a small business. And I'm gonna tell you why that's a tragedy for your finances. Even if this small business does not make a ton of money, or even if the business fails, it's still a win-win situation, and I'm gonna explain it right now. Before we get started, go ahead and smash the subscribe button so you cannot miss any future content. If you're a W-2 employee and you don't have a small business, you're paying more in taxes than you need to. The IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, prioritizes taxing W-2 employees. They get hit the hardest. In fact, all of your money that you earn is taxed before you spend it. Businesses earn money, take the deductions for the expenses, and everything else gets paid out taxed. Okay, so it totally flips the script. W-2 employees get taxed first, businesses get taxed second. Now, before you think business is this big, expensive, complicated thing, I have to tell you, of all the businesses that I've started, I can't believe how easy it is to start a small business in the United States of America. So many people think you've got to get an office, websites and emails, an assistant and all these things, but you don't need any of that. All you need is intention to make money. You heard that right. I gave it to you right at the front. I am going to tell you later on in the video what kind of business you should be opening, but right away I'm going to tell you all you need is to open a Google Doc or open a Word doc and write an intention for your business, date it, print it out, sign it as a PDF, upload it, and that is your intention for starting the business. You can start all kinds of different businesses. In fact, this is gonna blow your mind. You may be spending money on things that is a business, you're just not claiming the deduction on your taxes. 90% of millionaires started a business. This is the only way to get from the W-2 employee to the next echelon of wealth. And it's not even if you want to be a bazillionaire, it's just a way to shave off the tax burden that you're experiencing. Maybe you're in the 20%, 30%, 40% tax bracket. All the business does is it brings you down from the highest tax bracket. It really doesn't even need to make you a ton of money. The only thing the IRS is looking for is for intention. Do you intend to be profitable? You don't need to be profitable every single year. Read between the lines there. You can deduct, especially, think about it, your first year of opening a business, most people don't become profitable because of the investment to either renovate, purchase equipment, etc., etc. Does it make sense now, the power of a small business? It does not mean you're quitting your day job. There are so many myths around starting a small business. Many people think it's risky to start a business. It depends on what kind of business you're starting. If you purchase, say, a nice camera, a DSLR camera, and you're a hobby photographer, if you were to sell even a little bit of those pictures online, that's a legitimate business expense. What is it, an $8,000 camera? It's a legitimate business, and you're a sole proprietor operating under your own surname. So it's operating within the river of your normal taxes. You don't need a special business CPA, certified public accountant. You just basically in TurboTax or whatever, you just click the box that you had a small business. It's as simple as that. Even the CPA you're working with can easily file a Schedule C. You just got to maintain your receipts and have a P&L, profits and loss sheet. In fact, banks, big banks here in America, let you open a business account for free. So if you thought starting a business was expensive, not starting a business is even more expensive because you don't get the tax deductions. Most people who should start a small business as a W-2 employee already have, they're just not taking advantage of it yet, which is so cool to hear. I'm so glad you're here. Like this video and subscribe because nobody's talking about this like we do here on Hustle and Grind Finance. If 300 million Americans watch this video, about 230 million of you should go and open a small business because that's how few people open businesses. Some people open multiple businesses in 1 year for different reasons. Okay, what are some things that you are doing that may qualify as a business? That's a fantastic question. Like I said, photography, it's a super popular one to mention because many of you have this hobby type lifestyle where you're taking pictures, you're sending it to friends, you're just not selling your pictures. You're not monetizing your pictures. And I'm not gonna get into the gory details of what a business is because that is a gray area. But definitely, if you're consulting and you're making money, you should deduct partially your car mileage. If you have a home office or a room dedicated 100% to what you're doing, maybe you're editing video, pictures, you're doing online consulting, that room, if you own your house, even if you're renting, you can deduct that square footage from your taxes, which is a huge help. It could be up to 20% of your house, if not more. If you're doing freelance work, that could be a business. If you're coaching, if you're creating content, anything you intend to make an honest profit could be a small business. Now, what kind of business should a W-2 employee open? That's actually a really good question as well. You're gonna wanna start with a sole proprietorship, especially if you're not making a lot of money. It's the cheapest to open. In fact, it could be as little as $50 to go to your county and get a DBA, doing business as. And for some businesses, you don't even need the $50 DBA. It doesn't like copyright your name and reserve your name. It just puts your name on the books for the local county that you're in. You don't even really have to do the DBA. What you need to do, like I said, is just write down your intention, sign it and date it, and everything you spend on the business after that date, save the receipt. And at the end of the year, you're just, as you file your normal taxes, you're gonna deduct that camera, that website, and that home office. Now, if you get more complex and you start hiring people, an LLC is probably the way to go. There is a higher fee to gain access to this. It's at least a few $100s. It requires a special CPA typically. And again, it's if you have a lot of risk and if you get sued, which is possible for doing your business, it's unlikely if you're doing not a lot of business, but if you're doing business that you think you could be sued for, you want to protect your assets personally, your house, your cars, things like that. So an LLC is a separate entity. So it requires more paperwork because you're having board meetings. You, of course, could be the CEO and COO and minutes recorder for this meeting. You are everything, just one person can do all of those things. But again, it is more paperwork. Start with a sole proprietorship and then move to an LLC. What does a small business unlock for you if you are a W-2 employee that opens a sole proprietorship? Home office, mileage, internet, because you're using your internet for the business. Cell phone, you're using it for the business. Headphones, anything you're using 100% for the business can absolutely be deducted on your taxes if you save the receipt and if it's spent after you started the business. These are not loopholes. A lot of people that I talk to kind of get nervous with the IRS, like, oh, I don't want to get audited and I don't want to be shady. And I'm going, are you serious? I mean, the 70,000 pages in the IRS manual is for the small business owner. most of it, as you read it, is for deductions, expenses, things like that. So if you're opening a small business, the government is incentivizing you to do that. The government wants you to open a small business, to invest in the economy, to take risk, to hire people, to move money from here and there. That's the whole reason why it's incentivized. If you're not opening a small business, you are not taking advantage of the things that are offered to you. That is the truth, and that's the truth that many channels don't clearly mention. They talk about making a gazillion dollars. This YouTube channel talks about being wealthy because this guy sold this billion-dollar company. But what they don't tell the average Joe and Jane is if you want to, you can probably start the business with the expenses you already have this year. Trying and failing is not losing. Not trying is failing. If you never open the business, you never get the deduction. If you open the business and it financially goes under, you can deduct those losses. This is the thing that people in the news read about billionaires doing, and people get a hard time for it because, you know, they're cheating the system or whatever. Well, it's in the law. I mean, if you take a loss, you may be able to take a deduction on that loss against the earnings especially, and against the earnings of your W-2 paycheck. That's the thing. If you get income from a company, you're getting taxed at the priority rate. W-2 employees get hit the hardest. Businesses have income that comes in, it is earned, then they get deductions on expenses, then they calculate the taxes. It is literally the opposite for a W-2 employee. The W-2 employee earns an income, gets taxed, and then gets the deduction. That is the secret sauce of this video. Who is this video really for? It is definitely for the person that's making a W-2 income. Absolutely. It's for a parent that maybe doesn't have a lot of time. It's for somebody with skills unrelated or related to their skills in the workplace. If you have a hobby, figure out a way to turn that hobby into a generating money machine. Then, even if it works or it doesn't work, you can deduct the expenses. This is for anybody who wants diversity of income streams. You've got to get more than one income stream in your life in case that income stream goes away. A small business gives you leverage, not chaos. Many people think a business gives you distraction and chaos and a lot of extra work. It just gives you tax deduction leverage for your finances. All right, as we close this video, almost every W-2 employee should at least try a business once in their life because it's gonna give you the valuable skills that you didn't even know that you need. It's gonna help you understand what running and operating a business is like, and it's gonna even make you appreciate your job even more, with the added benefit of giving you that tax deduction. I hope you found this video super valuable. Don't forget to like and subscribe this for much more fantastic money content on saving, earning, and investing. And thank you for watching Hustle and Grind. This is your host, Guy. Until next time, bye.